Hi, my name is Ryan Clark. I am founder and CEO of Clark College Funding, and I'm also the author of the book, College Aid for Middle Class America, Solutions to Paying Wholesale versus Retail. And I got a wonderful question the other day from a parent that asked me, how can I get in-state tuition at an out-of-state public school? And I live in North Carolina, but I work with clients all over the United States. But the parent who was asking me this, I asked them, well, do you have a college in mind that you're thinking about? And they said, yes, my son is looking at attending Clemson, and I want to know how my son can get in-state tuition at Clemson University. Well, I wanted to tell you it's very unusual to get in-state tuition at an out-of-state public school. Number one, out-of-state public schools, in a lot of cases, by law, they have to take the majority of their students, usually around 80%, from that state. So, for example, if you're from the University of Virginia or you're applying to Virginia, they typically are going to take 80% of their students from Virginia. And so you're competing against the other 20% just to get into the school. And so their financial package usually isn't all that great, to be honest with you. If you do live in North Carolina and you're trying to get in-state tuition at a Virginia or Virginia Tech or a Tennessee, a Georgia, even South Carolina and Clemson, is really, really difficult because they get a ton of applicants from students from North Carolina. So they don't have to recruit students from North Carolina. They're coming anyway. And they know there's a lot of them that will pay what I call the sticker price. So they are not very aggressive in terms of reducing their price. Now, if you do apply to an out-of-state state school beyond your area, let's say we had a student from North Carolina and it applied to California, applied to Louisiana, applied to upstate New York, where your chances of getting a good financial aid package goes up tremendously because a lot of these out-of-state state schools love to brag about, hey, we have students from all 50 states. And so if you're applying to the University of Oregon, for example, they probably don't have too many students from North Carolina applying there, so they might be a little bit more aggressive to get your son or daughter there. Okay? So let's get back to the original question. Clemson University. Can we get in-state tuition at Clemson University? Yes, you can. It is very difficult. You have two options. Option number one is solely based upon your GPA, your SAT score or ACT score, and your class rank. So, for example, last year, if you maintained or if you had a 1280 or I think it was a 28 on your ACT, and you were in the top 10% of your class, Clemson automatically gave you $5,000 of merit aid. And if your scores increased, the merit aid increased. So if you scored a 32, you probably would get a great financial aid package which would reduce the cost of college to probably what it would cost to go to in-state in North Carolina. So that's the first way. The second way is really, really unique. It's called the Bridge Program. And the Bridge Program is a relationship between Tri-County Technical College and Clemson University. Every February, Clemson University looks at their applicants, and the students that just barely didn't make it, they get offered or invited to come to the Bridge Program. And it's a great way for them to help out alumni students that didn't quite make it, or students that they want to recruit that just didn't quite make it. And how the program works is that for the first year, you go to Tri-County Technical College, or I call it TCTC to make it a little bit easier for me. And if you spend the first year and you do well the first year at TCTC, and you have at least a 2.5 GPA, and you have a minimum of 30 transferable credit hours to Clemson, then the second year you're automatically enrolled at Clemson University, which is a really, really, really neat program. And I love it because of the price, but also it gives them the opportunity to be a part of the Clemson family, if you will. You get all the It's almost like being a part of Clemson, but not really. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can participate in band, you can participate in a Clemson chorus event, you can go into be involved in Clemson clubs, you can go to football games, you can go to basketball games. While it's not included in the prices, the football game tickets and the basketball tickets, it is given at a reduced price. So it's like being a Clemson student, but you're still at TCTC for the first year. And what's the advantage of that? Well, it's the price. You know, you're paying community college pricing, which is essentially a lot cheaper than if you had to pay out-of-state state school for the first year. Are you required to live in the Bridge community the first year, or can you live on Clemson campus? You cannot live on a Clemson campus, but the bridge community is really, really close to both campuses. It's like 4 miles away from TCTC and 2 miles away from Clemson, so essentially you feel like being a part of Clemson anyway, but you do have to live within Clemson. And again, the requirements are 30 transferable credit hours and having a 2.5 GPA. And some parents will ask, well, my son or daughter has AP courses and IB courses and dual enrollment. Does that, can that take place of the 30 credit hours? Unfortunately, no. You have to do at least 30 transferable credit hours at TCTC. But once you get into Clemson, those AP courses and IB courses and dual enrollments, those will transfer. Clemson will take those more than likely. So it's a wonderful, wonderful program. That's the second option. Unfortunately, it is by invitation only. So I wish you could say, yes, I'd love to go to TCTC for the first year, because that would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. But you can't do that. So those are the two options. Number one, you have to have good grades and a good SAT score. Number two is the bridge program that we talked about, and that will bring that price down to go to Clemson. I hope that answered your question. If you do have any other questions about any other thing pertaining towards college planning, please post your comments below or email me. I'll be glad to try to email them back to you, or do like this, give you a video question and answers as well. Let's make college affordable reality for every parent. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a wonderful day.